प्रकृत्या सुरम्यं विशालं प्रकामं सदित्तारहारै ललामं निकामम् प्रकृत्या सुरम्यं विशालं प्रकामं सदित्तारहारै ललामं निकामं हिमाद्रि ललाटे पदे चैव सिन्धु हिमाद्रि ललाटे पदे चैव सिन्धु प्रियं भारतं सर्वथा दर्शनीयं प्रियं भारतं सर्वथा दर्शनीयम् धनानां निधानं धरायां प्रधानम् धनानां निधानं धरायां प्रधानम् इदं भारतं देवलोकेन तुल्यं धनानां निधानं धरायां प्रधानम् इदं भारतं देवलोकेन तुल्यं यशो यस्य शुभ्रं विदेशेषु गीतं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा पूजनीयं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा पूजनीयं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा पूजनीयम् अनेके प्रदेश अनेके च वेश अनेके प्रदेश अनेके च वेश अनेकानि रूपाणि भाषा अनेका अनेके प्रदेश अनेके च वेश अनेकानि रूपाणि भाषा अनेका परं यत्र सर्वे वयं भारतीय परं यत्र सर्वे वयं भारतीय प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा रक्षणीयं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा रक्षणीयम् सुधीराजना यत्र युद्धेषु वीर शरीरार्पणेनापि रक्षन्ति देशं सुधीराजना यत्र युद्धेषु वीर शरीरार्पणेनापि रक्षन्ति देशं स्वधर्मानुरक्ता सुशीलाश्च नार्य प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा श्लाघनीयं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा श्लाघनीयम् वयं भारतीय स्वभूमिं नमाम परं धर्ममेकं सदा मानयाम वयं भारतीय स्वभूमिं नमाम परं धर्ममेकं सदा मानयाम यदर्थं धनं जीवनं चार्पयाम यदर्थं धनं जीवनं चार्पयाम प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा पूजनीयं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा श्लाघनीयं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा वन्दनीयं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा वन्दनीयं प्रियं भारतं तत्सदा वन्दनीयं सदा वन्दनीयं सदा वन्दनीयम्
Namaskar. I welcome everybody to this Global Utsav Namaste 2020 that has been brought to you by the Center for Soft Power. We have the support of the ICCR, the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, and also S. Vyasa University. This is our third weekend, and the event now is Centerstage, two dance performances and a discussion. But we are very, very happy to be welcoming Ambassador Sri Sanjay Verma, the Ambassador of India to Spain. And we also have Sri Guillermo Rodriguez. He is the ICCR head of Spain in India. And I would like to say a few words about both of them, though we have a very long, what should I say, description of both. But since we have a lack of time, we'll have to do a really quick one.
Vijayalakshmi ji, if I may suggest, I think we probably can do our own introductions in probably 20 seconds each, and save
sir,
time.
I think I should. Who you want to introduce each other?
Well, we could do that as well. I mean, that can also be easily done.
Okay, if you would like to do that, that is your wish, sir.
Okay,
so
let me introduce. Yes.
We are going to start with a discussion between the ambassador and Mr. Rodriguez, and that will be followed by 2 dance performances, and then we again have a discussion, and again we'll have their input, and that's how we'll take the evening forward. So I'll leave it to you now, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you, Vijayalakshmi ji. Thank you for this opportunity to engage with a very knowledgeable audience across continents. So let me introduce Guillermo Rodriguez as the director of the Indian Cultural Center called Casa de la India, which is in Valladolid, which is near Madrid. It's a unique PPP model cultural center. So while ICCR is a stakeholder in it, the other 2 equally important stakeholders are the city government of Valladolid and the Valladolid University. And so we have 3 partners, and Guillermo runs the Indian Cultural Center there. It's called Casa de la India. Guillermo has several degrees. Importantly, he has a degree from Chennai University. He graduated from Loyola College, or was it MCC? Loyola. And Loyola. And he also has a PhD from Kerala, from Trivandrum University, or was it?
Kerala University. Yeah,
Kerala University. So he's an acclaimed commentator on cultural affairs. He's an impresario. He's written 2 fabulous books, which he will talk about himself. He is deeply knowledgeable about India. In several ways, he knows more about India than the Indian ambassador does. He's married to Monica, who's a very accomplished Bharatanatyam dancer, and Monica had gone to India as an ICCR scholar, and Guillermo followed her, and simply to woo her, and then he wooed India and he wooed Monica. So that's Guillermo, somebody whom I deeply respect. He is one of our key assets, a key bridge on cultural matters, I would say, not only between India and Spain, but between India and Europe. So I think there will be a lot for us to learn from what he has to say, from his sensibilities as a European, as a Spaniard, somebody who's grown up in Germany as well, speaks several languages, understands culture, literature, academics, linguistics. I could go on and on, but that's Guillermo for you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. I'm really pleased to be here. We're talking from the north of Spain, ambassadors in Madrid, and we're connecting to South India, which is so dear to us. Bangalore, a city which I've visited very often. In fact, as part of my research on A.K. Ramanujan, it took me to Mysore and Bangalore many times, and we're still connected with a lot of interesting projects. We've recently visited for a project with Dr. Ed Subramaniam. And if I may very briefly say a few words about Ambassador Sanjay Verma. We have a wonderful ambassador now in Spain. It's a bit of an odd period, the last few months and the last year or so, but I think it's very important in talking about soft power to have diplomats who understand that culture is not just another attached item within their agenda. No, I think cultural dialogue and Spain and India in this case being soft power, superpowers in culture, have to work together in the field of culture, and you can achieve so much, not only by way of diplomacy, but culture, after all, it's also an industry, is also an economic leverage to bring the two countries together in economic ways. And the present ambassador we have, Sanjay Verma, understands culture and has been working very much to bring it on the forefront. Culture and education. I look at culture in a broad perspective, and we come to that later. So thank you very much, Ambassador, for being part of this session. And the very fact that he's part of this talk shows his keen interest and his dedication to any cultural event and initiative that we call him. He always supports, and I think that's very important. It counts a lot, and I think we should also train the young diplomats in the cultural sphere and cultural management, how crucial it is to understand each other and cultures, because without understanding each other, we can't do business properly. And that's my philosophy, that's my idea about culture, that it takes us to many other fields, but it's at the core of a relationship. And I think Marco Polo in those days, even when he went to Asia, and the Silk Route has shown that these cultural links and the economic links along with it build bridges. And therefore, I think this is one of the things I want to discuss also. So maybe start going into further aspects of this cultural dialogue.
Yes, please.
Good. Okay. Let me set up this piece of conversation by suggesting or proposing that I will talk briefly how I see Spain as Guillermo said, as a cultural significant power. It's a civilizational state like India, but there are several things we can learn from the Spanish experience and how they've been able to project their culture. And I think Guillermo mentioned a very valid point, is that culture is not standalone. I mean, it is, you're not promoting culture for the sake of promoting culture, soft power, but also because it creates a comfort level for stakeholders like entrepreneurs, investors, professionals, to cross boundaries and develop trade and economic, or science and technology linkages, etc. And culture is the soft surrounding which makes it easy to understand alien landscapes and living environments, and it probably also explains or makes it easy to understand different people or different cuisines. So in that sense, both I think Guillermo and I am on the same page that when we promote culture, we are also, in a sense, it's always behind our mind that we are also setting it up and we get people interested in India so that they can invest in India, do business with India, research with India. So it's not a standalone proposition. And Spain, it's a civilizational country, but it's got great strengths. Its language is spoken by 500 million people. Its food is very popular: wine, cheese, flamenco, football, art, literature, architecture. So all these things come together. Tourism. I mean, tourism is a showcase. I mean, the west of Spain is presented to foreigners when they come in, and in all of this, culture plays a significant role. Let me give you an example. At the height of the COVID crisis, when Spain eased up and they started opening, the first thing they opened were their national museums. So I think if you wanted to send a signal to the rest of the world or to your own people that life is getting back to normal, is you tell them our museums are open now. Prado is open with severe restrictions. But the fact that the museums were open before any other institution, I think this development went unnoticed, but I saw the significance. I saw what a museum means to a European or a Spaniard, and it was a wonderful signal. I mean, I'm just conveying this to suggest, how seriously or how important culture is for Spain. I have a few comments to make on literature, cuisine, cinema, media, etc. But Guillermo, if you want to say something at this point.
Yeah, I think since the topic is very much entrenched also in what we're living now, the difficult time of COVID, you have a right point. And I want to maybe briefly explain how important it was for us cultural centers to open, how also we were encouraged even by the governments, the local governments, the regional governments, and the central government to give a signal, a message to the people, because Spain, just like India, has gone through a very difficult period, particularly in March, April, May. And I remember very well, May in Spain, we celebrate, just as many other European countries, the European Day and Night of Museums. So typically this is the day, and I think it's around the 21st of May, when museums open their doors, and it's free entry, and we usually get thousands of people coming through. So everybody was kind of feeling sad. No, what should we do now? Can we try and find an alternative to this? So obviously, one move is to go online. Obviously, most of the centers and cultural hubs and cultural performers, etc., we're doing things online. That's one way of transforming our communication with the audiences. But I think it was very crucial, as Ambassador just mentioned, also to physically open the space. And we couldn't do it on 21st of May, but it came about, 2 weeks later, we were able to open. And it was indeed so. The museums were the first, even before almost offices opened, the first visible centers of public use that were opened, and of course with all the health measures and with a limited number. But this effect it caused in obviously the media was very interested and very keen. Earlier we had been, as a sort of symbol, playing music live. Some could do it live, others could do it maybe just with the recording from museums, and you may have seen images how people were just performing from the flats or from the balcony. Museums were also doing that. Once a week they were playing music, and on the International Day of Museums, we all played music. But when we were able finally to open and also start with small concerts, small performances, it kind of clicked immediately with audiences, and they were losing because it's all about confidence. You have to be confident to go out, and it's a slow process. It's a psychological process, but people, dared out, and especially middle-aged young people. For the elderly, it was of course a little more difficult and more challenging because they had to take extra measures. But we were seeing people walking into museums, walking to small concerts. We had a couple of concerts in our courtyard. Most of the events were open air, which also helps. And then slowly the festivals also, they did not want to cancel. And I think it was obviously up to the director to take an important decision often, and the policymakers left it to the team, to the managing team of a festival to decide whether they want to do it or not. And most of them, they said, yes, we want to go ahead at a smaller scale, but we have, because culture is like breathing. It's like food. It's like, it's an important aspect of our lives. And if we're not able to give this kind of message to people that culture is essential, it's not a commodity that you can do without. It's not like going out and having ice cream and you can do away with the ice cream. No. Culture, performances, artists, not only do they have to make a living, obviously, and they have to be there, and if we can have initiatives and find initiatives, we can talk about this now, where they can also make an income even in this difficult period. But I think the first message was, we're there. The artists are there. The artist managers are there. We want to be present. We know how difficult it is right now, but we want to come into your home, whether it's online, digital, but you can also visit us. And we are very fortunate to attend, Monica and I, a very beautiful festival of classical international festival in Almagro, in a small, tiny village, where, and I want to tell this without extending myself much further, this small anecdote, there's an entire village which is important in Spain because it's where the old classical theater of Spain was performed in the courtyard, like you may have seen in the Shakespeare performances in the UK. Where in Spain we used to have these small courtyards. They like pole houses in Ameda, these small courtyards. So this small village there, most of the income it has in the year is because of tourists going to this festival. And it's a very famous international festival. It takes place in July throughout a month. And the villagers were pleading with the festival director, please do not cancel the festival because it's our income, it's our way we can make our earnings for the rest of the year. And the artists also said, we want to perform. It was a huge success. They did things very well, the protocols have to be in place. And I think there's something to be learned from these initiatives. And I think we should continue in that same vein, even though we have difficult months ahead.
All right, yeah. Very briefly now on how India is projected culturally in Spain. I think the key vectors here or the standout Indian representation in Spain is it is as a civilizational entity. So there is tremendous respect for Indian culture, the pluralism, the diversity, our literature, the epics. Yoga is hugely popular. I think every town in Spain probably has numerous yoga studios. It's popular at all levels, schools, colleges, as therapy. Then we have Bollywood is popular. Indian restaurants, there are probably 500-700 Indian restaurants in Spain, but and a big but here, these restaurants are not catering as much to Spaniards as they do to foreign tourists or to the Indian community. I will come to that point again about Indian cuisine and how we need to work on that. I mean, you can't take Indian cuisine as it stands and expect it to conquer global palates. That's not going to happen. So that apart, we have a dedicated group of Indologists, professors, Sanskrit experts who propound Indian strengths in their various ways. ICCR trained dancers, musicians who in the limited way continue to project Indian culture. But again, when you talk about Indologists and about personalities or teachers who are trained in India and then have to earn a livelihood, there is we need to recognize that the world is going through economic crisis, and even before that, I think there were economic challenges. Sometimes I feel, in my view, I hope I'm wrong, that Indologists in Europe have been supported by the European university system, which is state funded, and there's this general love, academic, the pure academic spirit of learning foreign languages and exotic cultures, etc. So the state system, the surplus in the state system supported European universities to support Indologists. A lot of our Indologists, or most of them, are in state universities, not in private universities. Now the state universities in Europe are under strain. So, programs like Indology or related are going to come under pressure. Similarly, the artists who are trained in India, they have limited avenues of promoting Indian art or culture because sometimes they're left on their own. We can support a few, the embassy does, and will continue to do that, but there is no continuity in that these are our brand ambassadors, these are our agents of cultural transmission in foreign territories. But here I think this whole institution is on shaky ground. Guillermo, if you want to say something on this as a cultural impresario.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think you have mentioned gastronomy, which is very crucial and has great potential. There's a lot of areas which have not been explored and where I see a lot of future, and definitely one is gastronomy. We have not mentioned sports, how important sports is. That's another important soft power, of course, that plays a crucial role in Spain-Indian relations. But I want to focus briefly on, since we're talking about dance and performing arts, performing arts and music traditionally for India have been at the core of the cultural festivals and the cultural diplomacy. And I'm reading now again Ravi Shankar's new biography, and one realizes how important and how India used these great stars as cultural ambassadors. and the important role they've played. I mean, they virtually put Indian culture on the map when they took music and dance, of course, and influenced so many other Western and some of them very famous and notorious ones. And it's not only George Harrison, there's a whole bunch of jazz musicians. There's so many musicians that had this impact. And I think this is one of the aspects in which Casa de la India, is showing the way. We are very keen to show crossover and cultural dialogue, co-productions, and how you present a show and how you present your performance. In many ways, it helps if you adapt it to Western audiences and Spanish audience in this case. We've also been working very intensely, and Monica would talk about it, in the field of artist residencies. Getting to know each other is not only about showing the art form, which is the first step, but along with it, we always make it a point to have lecture demos, to have interactions, performing arts laboratories, where artists can, experience and maybe can bring in their own background and they can experiment with that. So I think cultural, in the field of cultural performing arts and music traditionally have played a crucial role. Similarly, from Spain, if I were to ask audiences in India, what do you know about Spain? They will obviously mention Rafael Nadal and Real Madrid, Barcelona. And if it comes to culture, they'll mention the bullfighting and then flamenco. Again, flamenco is such a strong brand, and it's been all over the world. And a lot of our flamenco artists were able to make a living during the 2008 crisis. And we don't have much time now. I think our 20 minutes are almost over. How they shifted their bases to Japan. It's amazing how they were able to perform still in other countries because there was a demand. Similarly, I think the message to performing arts and dancers in South India, there are so many, there's a new generation of dancers coming up that understand, first of all, how you have to present your material. You have to have professional videos, photography, a profile. It helps immensely if you have professionally made videos. We get a lot of proposals from different countries, and you just have to look. Sometimes you say, no, just look me up online. Yes, but we want a proper material like which you can use to send to programmers. So I recommend and I encourage young artists who may want to write to us, and also crossover projects, experimental projects where you have classical arts with maybe an artist from a different culture or with a contemporary element. Because a lot of our audiences in Spain want to see new things. I mean, it's not that they don't appreciate Bharatanatyam or Kuchipudi or Odissi, but once they've seen it so many times over, we want to see some experimental work as well. So I encourage young upcoming artists and also established artists to send us their material, try to bring together some high, quality videos and photographs, and with a technical writer, with all the elements. It has to be, I think the Indian cultural circuit has to become professional in that sense. It's very important if you want to be part of the international circuit. And one last suggestion, comment. I think with all this online drive, what we're seeing in Spain and Europe is that there's a lot of cultural producers who are presenting material now in such a professional way, they're actually charging for it. For instance, tomorrow our daughter's part of this artist camp where we are, and they're actually charging for the show. So a lot of people and friends, they want to maybe contribute. They have a platform. You pay €5, €7. I mean, if it's a famous artist, as far as 15 or 20 euros, and you have a quality show you can enjoy from your home. If you want to enjoy Netflix and Amazon Prime, why not pay also for performing arts? That's my additional message I wanted to convey.
Well, Thais, a couple of points on the themes. Literature or writings, Indian writing, I feel over the last 10 years or so, if you look at major international publications, summer reading list or annual, the best books of the year, etc., you find increasing number of Indian writers, not necessarily in literature, but also in economics, psychology, medicine, artificial intelligence, medical research. So that is a good space we are in. On gastronomy, cuisine, I think we are our own worst enemies. We take our food for granted. I think we need to have a revolution in India on hygiene and sanitation surrounding the cooking of food, preserving food, serving food, processing food, because it's a tragic fact that foreigners, many foreigners, when they come to India, Delhi belly syndrome. And if you're spending a lot of money coming in for a limited days to travel in India, and on day 1 and 2, you have a running stomach and you have health issues emanating from unhygienic food, your whole trip is ruined. And why talk about foreigners? This also affects Indians. I mean, we need to clean up. I know the municipal authorities, local authorities have to, on a war footing, challenge the existing modes of food storage, production, processing, cooking, preserving, freezing. How many times can a non-vegetarian dish be put in the fridge and reheated? These are complex questions, could be made simple. We need to make our food safe for ourselves, for foreigners. Number 2, I think the spice aspect, we need to recognize that foreigners are very resistant to strong spices. So we should have this ability of providing a whole range of Indian cuisine designed to attract foreigners, not to repel them. Because if you have very strong, flavored or spiced food, it puts off people. In Spain, that is typical. I mean, so most Spaniards don't take to Indian food is because they find it too strong. So we need to, Indian food is our greatest strength. Our vegetables, our meats, our fruit, the styles of cooking, but it's also a greatest weakness in software projection. And I think this point, I can't overemphasize that. Indian cinema is something which is on its own. It gets you the maximum eyeballs on the planet, but the authorities, including probably you could say the Indian ambassadors around the planet, we are not promoting Indian cinema. It's working its charm on its own, and we need to take that seriously, because whether you like it or not, it is your strongest suit. And now, because of the OTT platforms, now a millennial or a young person, young professional are spoiled for choice. Even your Indian cultural performances are competing with OTT platforms, Netflix or Amazon, Hulu, HBO, or Zoot, and you're spoiled for choices. So we need to focus on this, and Indian content is now available on these platforms. And like the 24-hour media animal, which requires to be fed with news to generate the 24-hour news cycle, the OTT platforms also become beasts which require a lot of content. And not many countries in the world are capable of producing quality productions for these OTT platforms. I mean, America, UK, France, India, Spain for sure, and probably a couple of other countries, Turkey, etc. So there aren't more than 10, 12 countries on this planet who have the depth and the width and the expertise and the creativity to populate OTT platforms. So this is space which is available for us. Media, I feel we need to cultivate the media, whether you like it or not, whether you call the media left, liberal, and critical of India on several issues. But the fact is, this media is red. An Economist is read, FT is read, the Wall Street Journal is read, BBC is heard, CNN is heard. So we need to engage with them on mutually beneficial terms, and not have an acrimonious relationship for positive or a balanced India coverage. I have several other suggestions, or my observations as a practicing diplomat for several years now, but I will leave it at that, because I do realize that we sort of overstretched the time allotted to us. And Vijayji, I hand it over back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been really enlightening, listening to you about, how the arts can be promoted better, and how especially gastronomy can improve. Thank you so much. And now we will move on to our next phase. Varsha, can you introduce the next artist, please?
Pir para I'm now pleased to introduce Ranjit and Vijna, Ranjit and Vijna are one of the most sought after young Bharatanatyam duo trained under eminent gurus in Kalakshetra style, have been performing, choreographing and teaching for the past 2 decades. Their mission as practitioners of Bharatanatyam is to extend the boundaries of Indian traditional dance and to create a new benchmark in the aesthetics of presentation by using innovative dance techniques. We will watch their dance recital on Dashavataram now, but before that, Ranjit and Vijna will have a few words to share that they would like to share with us now. Over to you, Ranjit and Vijna.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank you so much for making us a part of this evening. And that was definitely a wonderful presentation, Pashana. Really enjoyed it. We have chosen to do one of our teachers' pieces, Dashavataram, and it was also one of the first pieces that we did together as a duet, and that we learned and presented together when we started performing as a couple. And a little about the piece. The Dashavatara Ashtapati from Jayadeva's Gita Govinda. The Dashavatara refers to the 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu, the Hindu god of preservation who descended in various forms to restore the cosmic order. The Gita Govindam, a work composed in the 12th century by Vaishnava saint Sri Jayadeva, the source of the 10 incarnations is of Lord Krishna. In the verses being presented, the devotee expresses, O Lord Krishna, I offer my prayers to you who appear in the forms of 10 incarnations. As Matsya, the fish, you rescue the Vedas. In the form of Kurma, the tortoise, you bear the Mandara mountain on your back. As Varaha, the wild boar, you lift the earth with your tusk. As Narasimha, the half man and half lion form, you tear open the chest of the demon Hiranyakashipu. In the form of Vamana, the dwarf, you trick the king Bali by asking him for 3 steps of land, and you then take away the whole universe from him by expanding your steps. As Parashurama, the warrior with the axe, you slay all of the wicked Kshatriyas, the warrior clan. As Rama, the prince and king of Ayodhya, you conquer the demon king Ravana. In the form of Balarama, the son of Vasudeva, you carry a plough with which you subdue the wicked and you draw towards the river Yamuna. As Lord Buddha, you show compassion towards all the living beings suffering in this world. And at the end, you appear as Kalki, the destroyer of filth who rides the white horse, to vanquish persons of low character and those who yield to worldly sensual pleasures and have lost their character. The lyrics is from the Gita Govindam of Saint Jayadeva. Music and the original dance composition is by our teacher, Professor C.V. Chandrasekhar. And since it was a solo piece that Sir had set many, many years ago, it has been readapted for a duet presentation by Ranjit. It is in Ragamalika, Talam Adi. The musicians of the recording is Kuldeep Espai on the vocals. On the Natuangam is Ranjit Babu, Mridangam Ramesh Babu, violin Ishwar Ramakrishnan, and on the flute is Shrudesh Sagar. The lights and the videography for this video has been done by Season Unikrishnan, who's an upcoming Bharatanatyam artist, who's performed widely with many reputed senior artists, and also a member of Leela Samson Spanda Dance Company, and also currently trains with us. We also wish to mention our 2 other young students, Adya Raman Gandhi and Kavya Sridhar, who have assisted for this recording. Video editing is by Ranjit and Season Krishnan. And the beautiful space that was given to us for this purpose is the Sahridaya Creative Spaces, Dashavatara.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sri Ranjit and Srimati Vishna, for this very evocative performance of the Dashavatara. It was really mesmerizing. We would like to now welcome our esteemed chair for this session, which has been titled Navigating the Arts Through the Pandemic. We welcome Srimati Anupama Hoskere, who is a renowned puppeteer. I'll just say a few words about her. She is also a performing Bharatanatyam artist and has choreographed many ballets. She is currently a member of the Karnataka Sangeeta Nritya Academy. She is also trained in traditional puppetry of Karnataka. She scripts, creates the puppets herself, and directs her puppet shows. As an effort to pass on the values of our great traditions and life to the next generation, she has started using the holidays during Navratri festival to display and depict stories from our great epics, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, and other Puranas, and also spreads values and respect for these traditions. I will now request Srimati Anupama ji to take over the session. Thank you.
Ambassador Sanjay Verma, Director Guillermo, Dancers Monica Delafont, Shri Parshvanath Upadhyay, Srimati Shruti Gopal, Shri Ranjit, and Srimati Vijna, Srimati Vijay Lakshmi, and Varsha, Aparna, and everybody else, Namaskara. My salutations to all the elders and greetings to one and all. Our heart goes out to all those individuals affected by the pandemic, and we applaud all those who have put up a brave front and fought this for the sake of others and a higher cause, including this village, which opened its festival, as Director Guillermo told us. India is the land of living traditions, We have established sophisticated performing arts historically as early as the 1st century BCE, just even not considering the epic and other periods. Indian performing arts has withstood the ravages of time, and every single time it emerges grander, stronger, more adaptable, and closer to the people. I must congratulate the Center for Soft Power and Sri Vijayalakshmi ji for addressing this open secret of India. We saw apologies for opening words after these beautiful dance performances. It's really not a dumb thing. When you see such a beautiful recital, and two in this today, we just enjoy, we are in a lull and we walk out. But I have this, the bad job of opening mouth and words at the end of this. Well, it is for a cause, a higher one. So with these apologies, I'm sure you agree that Parshvanath ji transformed the stage to energy. So we went into a spasm of light. He was talking about Shiva, but it was just energy. The body transformed into energy, into light, which all of us absorbed. And we were left vibrating. While Ranjit and Vijna gave us this lull of bliss. We were like rolling in this bliss. So between the energy and the bliss, which is the same language, what is it? This is what ancient Indian secret is. We take these precious, precious human souls, we protect them, we nurture them, we keep them at the pinnacle of our society. We are living tradition. These people have transformed it. It is not a static. It is not what has been, is there and running by the book. It is speaking to you. It is dynamic. It is happened now. So it is classical contemporary. Every bit of what these people have spoken today is classical contemporary. This is our museum. And this is what is precious to us. And this is what we cherish. And this is what we hold in the highest esteem. And today, the Center for Soft Power recognized this and said, let us see how this brilliance is walking through this fire. Let us learn lessons from this brilliance, because it is this one soul which enriches millions in our nation, which enriches thousands across the world. It is this one soul which is the human potential and raises up the potential in every other soul which witnesses this. So welcome, dear dancers, to this beautiful session as it is going to be. Since variety is the spice of life, I have Monica, who has a double, triple, quadruple challenge of doing transcontinental art. She has not only to take something which is not native, and as we will also take into consideration that Guillermo said, if only this brilliance of an art form, this brilliance of a structure can be communicated to a newer generation, to a European audience maybe, if we learn this means of communication, we can enrich so many more, because we don't need numbers. One is enough. So Monica is doing this job. She understands this, and she takes this earth to heavens, this light, this spirit, and this moment to millions across. And let us see what are the multiple facets of this struggle. And before I really drop into this with her, I have Parshvanath, who is energy multifaceted. It is not just in his dance, it is in life, it is at home. He's family with a child and taking care of everything. He manages everything and also keeps his humorous spirit up and makes others laugh through his memes, and says, okay, when his very, very nicely supported by Shruti Gopal in this. And together, they are rowing a boat of happiness, and not gently down the stream, energetically down the stream. So we would like them to share this secret of theirs with everybody. Ups and downs, we are together, and you know, this is it. It's dynamic. Every day changes. Every day is new. But hope is eternal, and change is eternal. And that you have just done this is marvelous. And with them, we are going to talk about this. And with Ranjit and Vijna, it's going to be space physical. How are they managing it? How are they doing safe distance? Are people scared to come? What are their problems? How can we as a society, how can we as a government, how can we as the people, how can we share this? How can we understand each other? How can we make the world a better place? Welcome. I'm going to mute and switch off. Monica, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Anupama. Thank you, everybody. And also the Center for Soft Power, which I think is a privilege to have all of us here. So thank you for that and sharing this with so many people around the world today. Beautiful words that made us now, I mean, beautiful images, beautiful dance. So it's now more difficult for me to talk than to dance, but I'll try my best. Anupama was talking about this transcultural journey. I like this word of journey. I think everything is in a move, like she says. And this is what happened to me when I was very young and decided to stay in India. I was only 19 years old when I, after seeing Alarmel Valley dancing in Khajuraho, I decided to dedicate my life to Indian art. In Spain, I was a theater student, so and I was also dancing folk dances from Spain. But when I first time saw Bharatnatyam in this festival, I thought, well, I had maybe like today was talking about energy and bliss. It was like falling in love with something which connects with you regardless of wherever you are from. That's what I believe. Arts removes all the barriers and all the frontiers of countries and whatever. So I connected so strongly to that I decided, actually I went to her house in Chennai all the way and asked her whether she would teach me. And what she told me that best for me would be to join Kalakshetra, which I think was a very good idea. So I can say I was in a very good place to start to understand and to learn. So after 7 years of being in India, well, I have to say that another love, it was to Kathakali. When I saw Kathakali for the first time, I think because of my theatrical background, I felt in love again. So again, I had to move in this journey. I continued Bharatanatyam till now, but I jumped into Kerala and Kathakali because for me it was connecting it to the temple, connecting it to ritual, which I think for me was very important to feel because everything has sense. I remember my first lesson in Kalakshetra was the origin of drama, as Natya Sastra. So I thought while connecting it back to the space of a temple was something that I really wanted to experience. So I even did my Arangetram in a temple of Kathakali, Oyur actually, in Kerala. So this journey, again, with all this material, I could have stayed in India and I can stay forever. It's a country I love. But I thought, well, I have to go back to my country also with all this material, what can I do? I mean, how can I connect to my language? How can I connect to the people I like, and how much of this material can be of a benefit for theater people, for artists, for children, for a better world, like you said. So we together, Guillermo and me, came back to Spain, and well, it was not easy to readapt, I would say. Like you were talking about struggling, right? So it's not easy to adapt, even if it's your own country. It wasn't easy to adapt in India as well, but I think well, you get it because art for me is a window. So you can go through anything. I mean, we dancers know how to sweat and how to suffer to get something which is like a jewel, like you were saying. So coming back to Spain and slowly understanding that this material was, it was good to show it as it was because it's a jewel by itself. But at the same time, you have to find deep connections so that people connect to something which is far. I mean, if you take all the background of just a small piece of Bharatanatyam, so much context that you understand that the Spanish audience is not getting it because it's not of the culture. So I would say was very important for me to take the essence of poetry, music, and dance as this kind of triangle, which is the essence for me, that it's the specific, what Natya Sastra talks about is how this relation of body, of all the four abhinayas, like you said, right? So how, by using Spanish text, I could reach also Spanish audience. I mean, we as a country, we have a lot of qualities which are very similar in a way to Indian audience. I would say the way we connect through our hearts. We are not so mental in a way, so we are not expecting to communicate through a very high philosophical way, but something that touch our heart directly, right? Passion, you can call it, or something that goes direct to your heart emotionally. So I understood that to connect with the audience, I had to use Spanish poetry for that. So I became myself a kind of bridge. This is what I felt, kind of bridge that could use Indian language to bring it closer through poetry. So I did a lot of experiments, like using Bhakti poetry, for instance. There is a concept which it's very common in both cultures. We have a lot of poetry which is sung in the street when we have the Jesus Christ in kind of processions in Easter. And if you go to South Spain and see how people would sing this kind of poetry, is so similar to a padam, or a kind of a devotional poetry. So by using those elements, I could feel how I could introduce the language I had learned and I had embodied, and bring it closer to the full experience through Spanish, for instance. But I believe in all this time, that now it's like 25 years, trying to communicate with Spanish audience with this language. I believe in our Casa de la India, or this space as a laboratory, as something which goes on experimenting on communication, and how, I mean, how everything is possible in a way. Like, for instance, before a program which comes directly from India to show, we have to introduce what's going on, we have to present it, and we have to kind of introduce the audience in the meanings of that, so that they are able to understand it. And beyond that, I think the collaboration between artists now is very essential. So whenever an artist comes from India, we take him or we take her, and is part of this laboratory, because we like to, I mean, we have to present in this period. Now we come back to this this difficult time in a way, or this challenge that we all have. I think we have to keep moving, to do a journey from ourselves and adapt to this context. We work a lot with children. We believe that all this experience as an artist now, we have a mission in this society. I mean, we can all help to create spaces now, which are spaces to breathe, spaces to communicate, spaces to express. Because I think now we will have difficult time to do that outside. So we have to create those spaces which are not as big as we think, a big theater or big space, big auditorium. We have to go back to small spaces where we can slowly change the reality for the people around. So we have a lot of programs to go to schools and high schools to introduce all this Indian knowledge, all this Indian experience, traditional experience, into our daily lives. So talk about introducing some yoga for them, to learn how to express with the face, with the body, with, with all the communication tools that we artists can give them, right? Now we have a next project which is called Prana, and we try to bring the knowledge of Indian wisdom of what breathing means for your society into our lives today. How can we withdraw from that knowledge something that can help today to the society, right? From children to young people to elder people. So this is to say that this moment, I don't see or I don't feel the need of really performing in big spaces, or even don't feel like it's not necessary. I think our mission is more to put our art at the service of whatever is needed in the society. And for that, we need the help of the, of the organizers, politicians and governments to take us, in their hands for a better world, for a better space where all we can live. So my experience, it's put now in this context to change and to be able to interact with this new situation. Yeah.
Thank you, Monica. I invite Ranjit and Vijna and Shruti and Parshanath to join into this if you want to add anything. Otherwise, we will move on to the next topic. It is nice, Monica, that you're doing your own parampara. So we have it in India too. In Maharashtra, we have a whole margam in Marathi now, which is being taught. Maharashtra is the state where Mumbai is. So even though Bharatanatyam original margam was not so popular in Marathi, it has developed. And there is a whole arangetram happening in their languages. And in the US, we see that it's being done in Gujarati. So I have attended a concerts where it's being done. So language is not a barrier, as you have understood from the Natya Shastra. Language has never been a barrier. Poetry is required, of course. And it's beautiful that you recognize that. And all the best to you in creating your own style very soon. In down the lane, maybe it's going to be your own style of Bharatanatyam, and who knows what name it will get. We shall, well, future will see. I now invite Parshana.
Well, yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yes, yeah. I just tell you about an experiment which was very, very successful, and that, I don't know if you know the novel of Don Quixote.
Yes.
It's one of our most famous novels, right? In Don Quixote is for us the the image that we all have as a young. Maybe you have Mahabharata, Ramayana, and all that, but for us, those characters and the adventures that they go through, believing that they can create a better world, it's very deep in our society. So we created a Quixote in Kathakali, which was, a really interesting intercultural experiment, because there you have a novel that the artist, the novel that the audience know. So, and we have the Kathakali actors from Margi, Trivandrum, creating all those passages, sung, of course, in Malayalam. In this case, we could not sing all this in Spanish, but because the people knew the characters and because there was so much connection, it was a very good intercultural work. So that's to say that there are so many interesting experiments because India and Spain, like they were saying before, Ambassador and Guillermo, we have many things to really discover of togetherness. And so thank you, because we will show you some of those experiments soon.
That is wonderful. That's something really, really lovely about Europe, because I saw similar works in Paris when I was teaching there. And even puppetry was experimented as Bharatanatyam would be done. And Kathakali was used to express French tales, and this was part of her curriculum. And fantastic, congratulations, and time for Parshvanath and Shruti to come in.
I think I'll start. So we are in different cities. I will start with adding a little bit to what Monica just said. I completely connect to you because I am from the area of India which can be similar to Spain, has no idea about Bharatanatyam, has no idea about any South Indian classical art forms actually, only Hindustani music, and a little bit of Kathak was there, here and there. So language, as you said, was a greatest barrier in our part of the world as well, where I still do a lot of Marathi abhangs, which I learned from my guru, who is from Mysore region, who came to Belgaum and adapted to the local taste of music. I would like to thank Softpod for giving us this wonderful opportunity. Yes, each artist has his own journey, so I can talk only for myself and not Shruti. She has her own wonderful journey going on alongside. I am from a very small town, as I just mentioned. And when I came to Bangalore, which is a culture hub, it was opening of like a beautiful, I can compare it with opening of 7 doors to Vaikuntham, where I used to sit and watch what it is from Belgaum, from my town. But when I came there, I actually saw gods dancing. The secret, what Anupama ji was mentioning about, was no more a secret for me. My life transformed when I came to Bangalore. And recently, when I came to Chennai to watch performances, maybe last 10 years, then I saw, okay, there can be parallel heavens exist. There are so many beautiful heavens on earth. And by saying that, I think as artists, we very lately realize that our art is a power. It has its own power to transform not just artists, but also audience. Even somebody who just watches it for 1 minute, their life completely, their mood completely. It makes people, wonderful people, they make them better people. By doing that, we somehow knowingly or unknowingly create better world. So yes, it's time for everybody to realize what kind of potential we have, what kind of soft power we have, and try to bringing that change. With that kind of imagery, hopes in our heart and mind, we opened Antarshala recently, which can reach out to students who stay very, very far from these heavens. And thanks to COVID, I can say everybody is connected through online now. So that is why we call it as Antarjala, that is internet in Kannada, as Antarshala, internet school. Here, the stage that really which has really helped students is the Swadhyaya videos, self-study videos, where we shoot videos of art, we taking the dance classes, which they can download and keep it with them and attend them whenever they want to. They can understand the choreography much, much better way, apart from the live classes. In comparison with live classes, I think these Swadhyaya videos have worked really well, even for a student who is from the most remote area in West Bengal, or somebody who is sitting in New York. Apart from these Swadhyaya videos, we are very fortunate to have live classes with them, and also with scholars, musicians. So this particular situation has helped us to think in a way where we can reach out to the people. And I really hope we can continue doing so, even after the situation gets better. I just want to be connected with all our students who are part of it, and hopefully to bring some elements of art education in our society. I think that is the most important and the most needed topic to be discussed today, art education, because we see some kids coming to dance classes once or twice in a week, and you see such an amazing transformation in their thought process, in their confidence level, in their attitude. Why don't we bring that in everybody? Yeah, Shruti can talk. Right.
I'd like to thank Vijayanti for having me here. Thank you so much. I think the pandemic, in a sense, did do some good in terms of this for people who couldn't reach out to art in that way. But I'd also like to say we dearly, dearly miss that physical contact with kids, because all of us who've grown up in dance classes, it's been our second home, it's been family. So to actually see them in small grids is not the best way to have it, but it's the only way right now. There's no other option. So I feel like it's also kind of changed the student-teacher dynamic because of the fact that not for students who were with us from before, but especially the new batch where you're seeing them for the first time online, you're seeing them in small little grids. And it's also very heartening to see, because they would have actually prepared so well with the videos that we've sent them before. And they'd be, and you can actually see the onus is right now on the student, because you can see how prepared they are in like 20 grids that are in front of you. You can see the kind of preparation they do. And it's very heartening to see the amount of effort they put in, considering they have the time and during the pandemic and things that are happening around. So I think in a way it worked. I don't think we would have ever thought of opening it up to a complete online class like this ever if we were in the older world. But I want to look at it as one small positive that came out of this entire process of that. As personally as a dancer, I think this was a phase of transformation for me, to say the least, because suddenly there was time, suddenly there was less to do, and suddenly you could like sit with items for more time. You had more time with your teachers. You could sit and discuss topics, discuss art, discuss things at length, read about things, and do so much, like do physical classes, yoga, Pilates, do everything that you ever wanted to do, and suddenly you had time for it. And everybody, I think most dancers did that at this point of time, when you suddenly got in that time to do that. I think a lot of us who are fortunate to not have to think about where food comes for the next meal, I must say that we are fortunate that we are in that strata of society. For being in that society, I think we actually managed to take advantage of this period, not just in terms of teaching, but even in terms of personal growth. And actually, the internet has helped in a lot of ways, because I watched people dance and talk, legends dance and talk, who I don't think I would have watched otherwise. I wouldn't have had the time or distance and the issue of us being in different geographical regions, and suddenly everyone was there available on the internet, and there were masters who actually taught live classes. So you suddenly saw people sharing their experiences, different ways of looking at things. I think it opened a complete different door for artists, and I think considering everything around is so negative, we can find solace in these little positives. Thank you.
Thank you, Shruti. I have a question for everybody. India is opening up its walls in the curriculum, in the education system. So do you feel positive about it, that you can now enter classrooms and create an audience? Because it's hard to create an artist. When you force art on something, all you get is mediocrity. Well, that put apart, will it be beneficial to the artists to pick up on this and try to create classrooms, long distance classrooms, because now you have experienced the internet? Who'd like to go first? Yes, please.
Namaskaram. Thank you, Vijayalakshmi ma'am and Center for Soft Power for inviting us for this webinar. Well, listening to what Parshanath, Shruti and Monica, all of them said, it is I mean, you know, we share a lot of similar thoughts about, you know, the current situation, how all of us have taken new paths to continue our journey with the art that we're doing. I mean, for like a little before, I just wish to share something before you know, I answer the question that you put forth. For us, I think, you know, because we used to travel a lot and teach and all of that. I think this pandemic has obviously put a pause to all of that, and it has been a good reason for us to rethink about so many things that we want to do with our art, and that has also helped us you know, give time to understand how we would want to teach, you know, our students, you know, from now on going forward, you know. And like, you know, we've stopped all our physical classes. So because of the situation, we had to vacate our dance hall, you know, which we were renting out. And because of which we're just now doing only online classes. And teaching online was something that we've never tried before.
I want to add on it. Thank you so much for calling us to share our part. For me, from the beginning, online class never worked. Even I cannot learn from the videos. It's so difficult. So maybe Pasna don't know because how I learn. I cannot. I have to really learn personally, and this is made first 1 month was so chaotic for me. I was so irritated and I don't know what to do. And now I settled down. This made me to think even start one new venture for us, like Ritambara, to take yoga, because I'm a yoga practitioner too. So it's all came, you know, because of this pandemic. So it gave us a lot of understanding how to go about it. But still I'm a kid, I can say, teaching online and just learning. So I wonder how people are, my friends, they teach very easily. I always think how they teach. Because for me, always I have that body, the feel here, all those things.
Have that, you know, the ability to like hold, touch and feel and, you know, feel each other. And
then after some time, the case came that you should not touch the kids. So I usually use my 30 degree to just make them correct. And all those things, you know, we you know, adapted that one also. No, not to touch anyone. No, it's another problem. So now also I'm learning. Now I'm little bit getting comfortable to give them some work and make them think. And they're sending us videos and we are evaluating that and correcting them and giving feedback. And we are also learning so many things because these things, you know, made me really okay, calm down and
and also because, you know, we don't know when this is going to end, right? And when things, when we can resume back to our normal, the old normal. So I think it's giving us a chance to always look at, you know, approaching all our older activities in a new perspective. And I think now, you know, to answer Anupama ma'am's thing about probably educating and looking at this as an opportunity to educate people about art, the value of art, and giving them this experience has made us think about, you know, having these online lecture series that we're doing through our foundation called Saraswati Foundation. Because this was something that we were doing for our full-time students on ground. But then, you know, with the pandemic, we thought, why not open it out to a larger audience? So what was interesting for us was we have a bunch of dancers, yes, apart from our students who are part of these lecture series, but also a lot of non-dancers. Like people from the science background, people from, you know, from the background of technology, and other kind of artists who are part of these lecture series. So I think this is an opportunity for them also to just get connected and interact with the performing artists. And like Shruti said, I think it is during this pandemic that, we have really had the time and leisure to really listen and watch a lot of people that I don't think we would have been able to really see or even listen to.
Yeah, that people also now, they can hear their breath because they slow down a lot. That I can see because there's too much running here, going here and there. Then now we really think, okay, we are breathing. Okay, we are also breathing now. That is an amazing revelation, and I really feel, even I see the kids are coming for yoga and all, a lot of change in them. Otherwise, too much to make them calm down is very, very hard because the breathing level will be very, very bad shape. They don't know how to breathe. But nowadays I can see some changes in them also.
So I think it's been a good time for all of us to slow down. I mean, we've always spoken about slowing down and about listening to ourselves, but I don't think in real we've actually done it. And I think the COVID-19 situation has made us do it in for real.
And said, I started learning also a lot of things.
Yes.
A lot of things. Hearing a lot of other musics. Otherwise, always we have our own genre and always like very conservative. But now different thing. Different things I've started watching. And so
and
many
I think
interviews.
also it's because, now, I mean, it's we're working less for performances. Otherwise, you have something or the other coming up and you might have to plan for that, because they might ask you something in specific. But now we have the time to actually just create for ourselves and not create for somebody or for something or for, a particular theme. I mean, so that leisure, I think, is also very new because
And
we
one
also
more-
had our difficulties to get used to it and not meet deadlines. And to really understand working at leisure, creating and
That's so much peace because I have so many work
I'm going to take you to the other extreme. Let us say we have a festival. Are you ready to perform? Are you going to be scared? Because I'm really inspired by Director Guillermo's mention of that Spanish village which had a festival and people performed and people watched. And how much will you go? I mean, it's a hypothetical question, I know, but then that's where it all begins.
Yeah.
So who wants to dance on stage and who doesn't mind going through this?
But I think that kind of thing is going to come. See now, what I see the difference. Maybe I might be wrong, but what I see, before it was only learning for performance. Now I see the difference. People are learning just to enjoy the art. That's the difference. See, you cannot make everyone perform.
So Monica is ready to perform, I see. I'm ready too. If somebody gives me a show.
That's good.
I did perform on 7th of August. I had the opportunity of performing in the big theater in Valladolid. It was a very special occasion because they said, okay, we are just calling people from the city so that we know that we cannot travel or anything. So I was very scared in one hand to say, are the people going to come? Am I going to be alone in this theater? It was a lot of, but I have to say that it was a great experience. It's like going back home is what I said. Going back home means to connect with the audience again. Actually, at the end of my program, I sat down with the audience and talked with them saying, really, thank you for coming because this is all about ritual. And I think we all need that. Actually, my parents, they are 80-year-old. They were on stage, they were there.
Wow.
And I said, I really dedicate this to the old people that, they did all this effort with all the security, all the protocol was so well done that everybody was safe to be there. So really think of those spaces like going back home for the artist and for the audience. So we should not lose that. I mean, we really have to believe in that space. Even if, okay, it was for 400 people and there were only 100 people, fine. Even if it was only 2 people, my parents there, it was so beautiful to go back to do it. So I encourage also, that's why I said about spaces. We can think about big space, but we can also think about small spaces for, you know, with small audience there, for the benefit of all of us. Yes.
So I'm going to now call in Srimati Vijay Lakshmi Vijay Kumar to tell us when will this happen? When is Heritage going to give the platform so the dancers can come and dance and follow protocol? Because this has not happened with us. Do you think?
Thank you for that question. But you know, I've just been thinking, only yesterday we were saying that we were debating whether we should do Gudiya Samrama or not this coming year. Because, I mean, one doesn't know whether we'll have an online event.
We don't know. Yes.
Yeah, so we said, okay, we'll take a call in November and see what happens then.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the other problem is that I don't feel like asking sponsors now, you know, because everybody has gone through such a terrible phase financially. So I wouldn't want to call artists to perform and not pay them. And I wouldn't want to call, you know, ask sponsors to help us out. So we've just been thinking what we should do. But I really wouldn't want to do an online Gudiya Samrama. But, you know, it's not at all Gudiya Samrama then. So I don't know, maybe by the end of November, we'll hope that, you know, the small microscopic thing that is just ruling the world now will say, okay, let me go.
So we will meet back maybe in a while. Until then, it's online classes it is. 3 cheers to that and everything online and have fun. And I mean, it's so lovely because in the epics, we are always told whenever the negatives come, the people who are positive will go get more. They learn more. So knowledge has come into your lives, into our lives and to everybody's lives. And yeah, I just stopped you from saying something, Monica. You wanted to add something?
I wanted to add something here.
Yes.
If that can help, you know, the way they are organizing now artists in our cities is like, we cannot think of festivals of bringing people outside. We have to help local artists. So there was the whole, the whole city council sat down and say, okay, so how many professional dancers we have in the city and how we can open small spaces. It was easy now because it's summertime. So they opened many, small courtyards. So we all had the chance to perform. That's to say that, we have to organize this in a small scale. So the city council understood that, to give the opportunity to create it in a small scale and with local artists so that you can help the artists around. That's something that, I have to say that my city did well, or the cities are trying to help us in that way.
But always, when you watch live, it's something that moment, it's a lot of, gives you different perception. But later on, even the video, I don't like to watch, whatever I did. So in that way, when I see the online live or I'm not, maybe soon I'll change this. It's because of my less knowledge about that. We don't know. Or maybe I'm very conservative.
No, I don't think it's about less knowledge. In fact, Pashanath and me were just talking about it. You've recorded it on some other day. It's playing on some other day. You're watching it and people are actually commenting. You're so used to finishing a performance and like getting compliments for it. And this is all over the place. And it's a completely new normal. Weird normal.
So for me, after taking this video and editing, I'm thinking, my God, so boring. I don't know, something I didn't like. So it's very, I don't know, the live performance.
Sorry, Ranjit. Today the performance is not over when it's actually you finish the dancing. They still have to do editing.
Yeah.
That is new normals having dinner, after Arangetrams we have. Yeah, Arangetram is not over when still the dinner is over. So same way, your performance is not over today, still the editing is over.
Yeah. So that's where I'm just like, I don't know. See, whenever you go and see some street dance and road, if you're there, that's beautiful. With that energy, that entire space is very different. And you're watching alone at home, it's so different.
Yeah.
Because I felt this, it really like, yesterday I was watching that Tumkan's
Until the Lines.
Under the Lines. Night, I want to just watch the premiere. Now just watching. But I saw its program live in Italy, but so much difference that I can really see that, you know. But so powerful performance, but you are there, you know, you something transform you.
There's definitely there's a communication that happens.
So when theaters go into the forests, artists can happily dance and people can come back. I think this is pretty much what it's going to be. Closed rooms are out and we cannot go in there.
No, I think some other things are going to come because
open air.
Now,
Open
some
air
other business also will come because you can perform in the sport, it will be like that, it will be more live experience. How many things can come? We don't know how cell phone came. We only see in James Bond movie, you know.
All of you are doing great effort, keeping your chins up high and then being inspiration to so many people. And that healthy competition is very nice. Somebody will say, okay, if they did it, I'm going to do it. And that's in this time very positive because energy comes by that. So I thank you all for your precious time and for sharing your life journeys. And I'm going to hand over this podium to Varsha.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we are seeing a situation, Anupama ji, where like theater and cinema, there are very clear boundaries about theater and cinema. But COVID has thrown up a situation where the performing arts being live and being recorded, the lines are blurring. And probably, you know, time will come when something recorded like cinema will be as exciting as live theater. Audiences for the two are different, but I think we can convey the same emotion, the same passion from recorded dance and music as we can through live concerts. And as we grapple with the challenges that the COVID-19 pandemic has thrown up, many of us are making and appreciating art in new ways, multi-dimensional ways. We are becoming editors, as you were mentioning. We are dancers. Some of us even are making new music, new videos. And people, the general public, all of us who are watching y'all, are trying to adjust to life in lockdown and have intuitively turned to the arts in every form. We may not go on stage, but some of us are drawing, writing, singing, dancing, baking, taking to crafts and much more. Research has been very active during this period and is proving that the arts are more than just a feel-good, nice-to-have thing. And they are essential to our health and well-being, especially emotional well-being, and sustaining us through these unprecedented times and beyond this. So, I mean, some of the emotions that have been thrown up, there was a study by Harvard University and you know, they were asked, which is the most dominant emotion that is running through people at this time? And they said it was fear and grief. Art, more than anything else, helps us to cope with these two emotions and also with loneliness, stress, burnout, anxiety, depression, grief, you name it. And I mean, I think the most effective medicine is the arts. Thank you so much to our panelists. Anupama ji, thank you so much for joining and chairing and leading this session. And thank you all the artists, our viewers. Tomorrow we have a very early morning session at 6:30 a.m. It is SAMA, the transdisciplinary nature of Indian arts and sciences. Do join us tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. IST. Thank you so much and have a peaceful and exciting weekend. Thank you.